Well, let's get straight into this now, because Grant Piper is a cattle farmer who's started a national movement now against these renewables projects, including a couple of massive wind farms in his own backyard of Coolah in the central west of New South Wales, 120 kilometres northeast of Dubbo. He told me about the battle he's facing.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. We're just southeast of the little town of Coolah on the Uarbry, Tongy Lane little valley, and around Coolah there's two wind projects planned, 370 odd 250 metre turbines. One's been in planning for a long time. It's been running since about 2007 or 8, but they've built nothing yet, and that's to the north of us. And to the west of us there's another project that started later. It's another 50 odd turbines, 250 metres as well. The whole town of Coolah will be surrounded. And then we've got EnergyCo trying to run the power lines to connect all this stuff, because in the central west Arana Res, which is where we are, we're on the eastern fringe of it, there's 37 projects, solar and wind planned. We've got power lines through the back of one of our properties planned that we've got easement acquisition paperwork for already. But that's only a minor impact on us, really. Some of the others have got 500 kV lines going straight through the middle of their 700-acre property, which would destroy it. The easement is 250 metre wide, and on a 700-acre property right down the guts, it's devastating. And what does that do to your value? And what does it do to your production? It's horrible.
It's a hell of a dilemma that's occurring right across the country. Do you have people there, though, who are welcoming this investment? Because obviously a lot of people stand to make money out of it. They might have some 250-metre wind turbines on their property, but they're getting an annual rent for them.
Well, they are, but I still think they probably signed up in ignorance of what the consequences would be. And it's not very neighbourly to sign up and not inform your neighbour of what you're going to do. And we've looked at the local population, and, there's less than 1% of the local population have signed up to be hosts, for example. And all the other surrounding neighbours are going to be affected by it. And then not the immediate neighbours, but all the people downstream where the power lines are going to be routed, well, they're all going to be affected as well. And no one's ever asked them.
Tell us then, apart from your local battle, what about the national resistance to this sort of thing? We've got battles going on in Queensland, Victoria, South Australia, New South Wales. Are you coordinating your approach to try and either stop or modify these plans?
We all are, yes. We have formed a national group, and there are renewable energy zone groups like the New England Res group, and we formed one here as well. But we put together the national group to try and coordinate our efforts and provide support to all those individual groups and local groups. Because a lot of us, like when we started, it was we were struggling because we thought we were the only ones. We were alone. We didn't know how to go about we didn't know what the planning process was, and we had to learn that very, very quickly and get into it and get into the groove to respond effectively. And we've done that to an extent, but we can see that there's other people around the country in the same spot. So, and we talk to them. We've got people from Queensland. You've obviously heard about the Coolah wind farmers, up near Cairns, and then Victoria and Tasmania and South Australia, and they've announced an offshore wind project over in WA now. So we're talking to a lot of people. We formed a committee, and we've got representation from Queensland and Victoria. We're still talking to people in South Australia and Tasmania, but our job is to support them. And those people on the ground doing the hard yards, fighting their local battles, so they're not alone, giving them resources, we hope, and information and effective strategy. But we can't tell them how to fight on their own ground. They know their territory, they know their problems, and ultimately they've got to do that work locally. And a lot of them have done a wonderful job holding these corporations and the EnergyCo in your area, it's called different names around the country and states, to account and making them answer tough questions that they're not used to being asked. They seem to expect, I think they expected to slip through on the sly and just sort of get waved through. And once they come up against some critical questions, some technical questions, they flounder a bit, we found.
Yeah, well, all power to you, Grant, if you'll excuse that pun. It's important work you're doing. This has become a battlefield for our time, so we'll keep in touch, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for the time, and we'd love to do more in the future.
Grant Piper there. We will definitely keep in touch. He's now coordinating some of these protests around the country. Now, I've seen a lot of farms all around the world in my time. There's no farm so ugly as a solar farm, and they're popping up all over the place too. We'll keep on this issue for you, that is for sure.